Zarathustra.Initiate of the Sacred Fire. Excerpts from The Masters and Their Retreats. Zarathustra.Initiate of the Sacred Fire. Profiles of the Ascended Masters. This office in hierarchy is presently held by one who was embodied as the founder of Zoroastrianism in ancient Persia. He is the highest initiate of the sacred fire on the planet and the governing authority of the energies of fohat. He is over the priests of the sacred fire and the priesthood of Melchizedek. All members of the Great White Brotherhood serve in the Order of Melchizedek, even as they serve the sacred fire, but only those who have reached a certain level of initiation may be called priests of the Order of Melchizedek. Other members serve the purpose of the order but do not bear the title of priest. Zarathustra has many disciples serving under him, and when the most advanced of these reaches a certain attainment, he will qualify for the office, and the teacher will go on to cosmic service. Zoroastrianism is one of the oldest of the world's religions. Zarathustra, its founder, was a prophet who spoke to his God face to face. Zarathustra lived in a non-literate society whose people did not keep records. His teachings were passed down by oral tradition, and much of what was later written down about his life and teachings has been lost or destroyed. What scholars have been able to piece together about him comes from three sources: the study of the historical milieu prior to and during the time Zarathustra is believed to have lived, tradition, and 17 sacred hymns called gathas. Scholars concur that Zarathustra composed these hymns. The gathas are recorded in the Avesta, the sacred scriptures of Zoroastrianism. It is believed that Zarathustra was born in what is now east-central Iran, but that is not certain. Zarathustra's date of birth is even more difficult to establish. Scholars place it sometime between 1700 BC and 600 BC. The consensus is that he lived around 1000 BC or earlier. The Gathas say that Zarathustra was the Spitama family, a family of knights. The Greek name for Zarathustra is Zoroaster, meaning golden star or golden light. He was one of the priest class who formulated mantras. Tradition holds that at the age of 20, Zarathustra left his father, mother, and wife to wander in search of truth. 10 years later, he had the first of many visions. He saw on the bank a shining being who revealed himself as Vohu Mana, good purpose, and this being led Zoroaster into the presence of Ahura Mazda and 5 other radiant figures, before whom he did not see his own shadow upon the earth, owing to their great light. Ahura Mazda means wise lord. Zarathustra recognized Ahura Mazda as the one true God, the creator of the universe. Shortly after his vision, Zarathustra became a spokesman for Ahura Mazda and began to proclaim his message. He instituted a religious reform that was far-reaching. His main objective was to stamp out evil, and he preached against the davas, or demons, of the old religion. At first, Zarathustra had little success in spreading his message. He was persecuted by the priests and followers of the davas, and according to tradition, they tried to kill him a number of times. It took 10 years for Zarathustra to make his first convert, his cousin. He was then divinely led to the court of King Vishtaspa and Queen Hutosa. Vishtaspa was an honest, simple monarch, but was surrounded by the Karpans, a group of self-seeking, manipulative priests. They convened a council to challenge the revelations of the new prophet and successfully conspired to have him thrown in jail. As the story goes, Zarathustra won his freedom by miraculously carving the king's favorite black horse. Vishtaspa granted him permission to teach the new faith to his consort, Queen Hutawasa. The beautiful Hutawasa became one of Zarathustra's greatest supporters and assisted him in converting Vishtaspa. After 2 long years, the monarch was finally converted. But Vishtaspa required one final sign before he would totally embrace the faith. He asked to be shown what role he would play in the heaven world. In response, Ahura Mazda sent 3 archangels to the court of Vishtaspa and Hutawasa. They appeared as effulgent knights in full armor, riding on horseback. According to one text, they arrived in such glory that their radiance in that lofty residence seemed a heaven of complete light, owing to their great power and triumph. When he thus looked upon them, the exalted king Vishtaspa trembled. All his courtiers trembled. All his chieftains were confused. Radiating a blinding light and the sound of thunder, they announced that they had come on behalf of Ahura Mazda in order that the king might receive the fullness of the message of Zarathustra. They promised Vishtaspa a lifespan of 150 years and that he and Hutawasa would have an immortal son. The archangels warned, however, that if Vishtaspa should decide not to take up the religion, his end would not be far away. The king embraced the faith, and the entire court followed suit. The scriptures recorded that the archangels then took up their abode with Vishtaspa. In a dictation given January 1st, 1981, the Ascended Master Zarathustra spoke of King Vishtaspa and Queen Hutawasa. I am come to deliver the sacred fire of the sun behind the sun, to raise you up and to establish in you the original teachings of Ahura Mazda, Sanat Kumara, delivered long ago in the land of ancient Persia, unto me and unto the king and queen, who received the conversion of archangels, and of the sacred fire, and of the holy angels by the descent of light. Thus by their life streams, acceptance of my prophecy, there came to pass the multiplication of the bread of life from the heart of Sanat Kumara, whose messenger I was, whose messenger I remain. The teaching of the hosts of the Lord and the coming of the great avatar of light, the teaching of betrayal and consequent warfare of his hosts against the evil ones was understood and propagated. The law of karma, the law of reincarnation, and even the vision of the last days when evil and the evil one would be vanquished. All of this went forth by the conversion of the king and the queen, and the reaching out of the faith to all of the subjects of the land. Thus the tests were given by the archangels through my office unto these 2 chosen ones. Thereby passing the tests, they became blessed and sacred emissaries of Sanat Kumara. And therefore I, the prophet, and they beholding the balance in the earth, manifested a trinity of light, and the figure 8 flow. Realized the necessary ingredients for the propagation of the faith throughout the earth. The archangels send their messengers with a gift of prophecy, that is, the word of Sanat Kumara, to every culture and in every age. Thus the prophet comes forth with the vision. with the anointing and with the sacred fire. But unless the prophet find the fertile field of hearts aflame and receptive, the authority of the word does not pass unto the people. According to tradition, when Zarathustra was 77, he was assassinated by a priest of the old Iranian religion. Some accounts say that he perished by lightning or a flame from heaven. Much of what happened after Zarathustra's death is shrouded in mystery. Scholars say that his successor reintroduced back into the system the old gods that he had dethroned. By the time the Medes came to power in 7th century BC, Zoroastrianism was a major force in Persia. When Alexander the Great conquered Persia in 331 BC, he killed the priests and burned down the royal palace, destroying whatever may have been recorded by Zoroastrian tradition. About AD 225, Zoroastrianism re-emerged in Persia and was the state religion until about 651 when the Muslims conquered Persia. Although Zoroastrianism was officially tolerated, the Arab conquerors encouraged conversion to Islam through societal pressures, economic incentives, or force. Many Zoroastrians converted or went into exile. Loyal Zoroastrians who remained in Persia were taxed for the privilege of practicing their faith. In later centuries, persecution of Zoroastrians escalated. As of 1976, there were only 129,000 Zoroastrians in the world. However, much of what Zarathustra taught lives on in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Today, Zarathustra is an ascended master whose consciousness bears as an auric emanation of fire that is an all-consuming love, a piercing light that goes to the core of whatever is unreal. We call him a Buddha because he has the attainment of the expansion of the threefold flame and the Christ mind at the level of initiation that we call the Buddhic level. Being in the presence of Zarathustra is like being in the presence of the physical sun itself. The mastery he has of spiritual fire and physical fire is, if not the highest among the highest of any adept ascended from this planet. If you want to keep the flame of Zarathustra, visualize him keeping the flame, the divine spark, in your own heart. He is the greatest fire tender of them all, if you will. And when you call to him, remember that when you are engaged in the battle of light and darkness, and you give your call for the binding of the forces of the Antichrist, there is no greater devourer of the dark forces than Zarathustra himself. He is an ascended master with Buddhic attainment, whose auric emanation is one of an all-consuming love. Zarathustra's retreat is patterned after the sacred chamber of the heart, which is the place where the threefold flame burns on the altar of being. Your high priest, who is your holy Christ self, retires to the sacred chamber to keep that flame. He and other ascended masters can and do visit you there and tutor your soul. Zarathustra said that we may be welcomed in his retreat when you have the necessary development of the heart. He has not revealed its location.